We're going to open up the Marshfield Board of Public Works meeting of Monday, February 1st, 2021. It's 6:02 p.m. We have action items, approval of minute meetings, 1/11/21, special town meeting articles. Number 3 is the water engineering service, Furnace Brook Well. Number 2, cleaning and rehab. We have discussions, updating the snow and ice budget, reimbursement to enterprise funds. A report of somewhat of the flooding at the intersection of Mayflower and Country Way. I still get many calls on that. We also have a Facebook DPW page that was the personal page of Sean Patterson. So we have to do something with that. Either it has to be, well, we got to discuss it. Ocean Bluff revetment, it's on the agenda. And Tom's superintendent's report. And our next meeting, which I don't have a date. Do I have a second?
I second.
Tom, will you poll the board?
Motion's been made to seconded to accept the agenda. Mr. Carrier,
Aye.
Mr. Cusick,
Aye.
Mr. Shaughnessy will be on momentarily.
Okay.
But he's not voting on this, so it's 2-0.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I don't know if Bobby's there yet.
No, he's not yet.
All right. We can do the. You want to do the meeting minutes of 1/11/21? I read them. Have no problem with them.
I have also read them. I move we accept them as written.
Second. All those in favor, Tom, will you poll the board?
Yes, sir. Motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Carrier,
Aye.
Mr. Cusick,
Aye.
so moved, 2-0.
Okay. Second item is special town meeting warrant articles. That's you, Dave.
Well, actually, we have
No.
some that are being put forth by the
Oh.
superintendent and the DPW itself, and I'll let them go first, and I'll take the tail end.
Hopefully, there's no plows or trucks in this thing.
Actually,
Wow.
the special town meeting articles, we have a few of them. One is the easements for Rockwood Road. They're looking for a drainage easement up there and the swap of some of the properties. We're working with BRT's council and with town council and engineering to come up with this article. They've tried twice prior, but we're unable to get together in time with the town council. And so we'll be meeting within the next week or so to work out these easements. Also, there's $100,000 I'm going to ask for in the special, and this is up in the air. We've got in our capital, they gave us $300,000 towards road repair. And we need to purchase the last 3 colubriums for the cemetery expansion. And in order to match the existing granite from the 2 that we have now, we need to order this sooner rather than later. So when I went before Capital last week, I asked them about this $100,000. So they deducted it from the 300 for the road repairs. So we have 200 for the road repairs, and we'll have 100 for the cemetery expansion to buy those colubriums. There are a number of there are 3 transfers here in Capital. Actually, the special is out of the general fund is $55,000 to purchase a pickup truck with a plow for the highway department from the general fund. There is the purchase of the Munis software for our new accounting software It's $190,000 from each enterprise fund, and $300 is from the free cash disbursement for a total of $870,000 for the new Munis software.
Is
And
that just for us? Is that just for us or for the,
it's for the whole town,
so why are we paying that kind of money?
because it involves our whole accounting system in every department that we have.
I know that, but why are we paying all of it?
Well,
For the whole-
it's this, it would be taken in indirects if we didn't agree to this spread at the annual, at the special.
Who made the spread?
The spread was, came up from accounting, treasurer, who's ever in, Dan, if you could.
John,
Wait, who- aren't they using it?
no, John, this is gonna be Munis. It's gonna take over for SoftWrite. So it's gonna be the financial program, for the whole town, including the schools, including every department, including the 3 enterprise accounts.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Everybody uses it. Everybody uses it. So
Well,
it works
but-
from wastewater and water and.
I understand all that. You don't have to, I understand that.
Yeah.
Why are we paying that kind of money? What is the schools paying? What is the general fund paying?
General fund's paying $300,000.
Why are we paying 800?
We're
We're
not
not paying 800, we're paying 190,000 out of each enterprise fund.
Yeah, three times
and
three
John,
times
not-
190 is,
But not to pull the wool over your eyes, John, look, this is just the initial cost. This is what we're doing in the special. In the annual town meeting, there's gonna be another disbursement of about 200,000 per. It's about a $2 million system. And it's a 2-year program in order to get it up and running and take over all the conditions of the accounts and all the financials for the town. It's an expensive endeavor, and we need to pay our portion of it.
yeah, but I'm just trying to figure out our portion of it. It sounds too high to me.
Well, the question, Dan, maybe, do we have the total cost and the breakdown by
Yeah.
each of the other general fund aspects, such as town administration side of things, police, fire, et cetera?
Sure, I can get that from the treasurer, yeah.
Okay, because when we look at $300,000 from the general fund, that's on the DPW side only?
The 300,000 now is for the special town meeting. This is for the
I
beginning of the
understand.
implementation. So
Is
this is
that-
for like the licenses and getting things up and running and bringing in, trainers and.
That's a good answer, but it's not to the question I asked. The question I asked is, the 300K, is that all DPW general fund or is that all general fund?
That's all general fund.
Okay, thank you.
So 300,000 for the general fund and we're paying 570, 190 each? That's 190 times 3.
Yes,
Why are we paying that kind of money?
Question, John, can I get a clarification?
Go right ahead.
All right, so if the total cost is $2 million, what we're really looking for is, how much is the general fund paying for the DPW general fund? How much is the DPW enterprise paying? And how much is like the schools, police, fire, and you have a whole breakdown. So we got a $2 million total cost. And we're looking at X number of dollars for schools, X number of dollars police, fire, X number of dollars for general administration, and then DPW broken down for little elements. What we're looking for is a spreadsheet that makes the $2 million up. What we're being thrown is these pieces, just tidbits, saying that the general fund is going to spend $300,000 and we're going to spend $600,000. Well, minus 30,000, so 570,000. And that John is correct when Dave's question is too. Why are we being zinged for so much of it? Do I get that right, John?
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking for point of clarification.
okay. No, I'll get that information. I'll send it over to you folks tomorrow.
Well, we're not voting on this right now, that's for sure.
No,
Well, Tom,
yeah,
This article you're discussing, that actually is not being put forward by us. That's
No,
being
this
put
is-
forward by the town administration, correct?
Correct.
But you're just making us aware of our share of it.
Yes, exactly.
Our
That's way too high. That's the same thing they pull with the indirects when they keep the schools out of the total budget. As everybody knows, I know who I'm dealing with over there at Town Hall.
That's not true, John. I mean, the schools have their portion, and I will,
But we don't know
maybe
what
I'm,
it
maybe
is.
I'm ill prepared to answer your
We don't
question
know what
today,
it
but I'll
is.
get that for you by
Yeah,
tomorrow.
well, we
Have all
should
that
have it
information
tonight
for you.
then.
Well, let me put it this,
We can't discuss it tomorrow because we don't have a meeting tomorrow.
if I might interject, John.
Go right ahead.
We still have the advisory board and the Board of Selectmen meeting coming, and they have another meeting prior to this. So if we have questions, we could certainly raise them at the Board of Selectmen's meeting seeking clarification.
Wednesday night at 7 o'clock is the advisory board meeting also.
All right, so we should have that in hand by now then.
Yeah,
We'll be
but
able to deliver that,
we
right,
should
Jim?
have had this long before this meeting tonight, that's for sure.
I don't disagree.
John, I provided this information in prior meetings.
Yeah, where
I
is
don't
it?
think we got the total picture though. Did we, Dan?
I did. I gave you the information in previous
Okay.
meetings, so I can go back and find out when we talked about this earlier.
I do remember the conversations, but I don't remember having the full dollar figures.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about 190 times straight.
Do we have anything else from the DPW side on STMs, Ton?
Just the retained earnings for rate stabilization that we do annually, and Rod doesn't believe it's gonna be that much. He's gotta sit with Dan to finalize the numbers.
Do we have ballpark figures?
No.
Was that a no?
That's a no.
Okay. When will we?
Soon, we've collected, the first 6 precincts, we've collected about 38% more. I think it's even greater than that, revenue than we did last year, so.
Okay.
Based on last year, it was in the $400,000 or $500,000 range for each one of the sewer and water. I would say it'd be less than that.
Okay. Tom?
Yes,
The issue we have here that we ran into it when the Board of Selectmen sent us their letter, and they failed to recognize that in the past, we always stipulated exactly how much we were planning to use to defray rates in each of the enterprises from retained earnings.
That's
And-
correct.
And we need to make sure when we move forward with whatever the presentation is, that we do have the amounts specified and voted. And if that's not happening with the Board of Selectmen, please advise us.
sure. No, definitely. And once the numbers are, that Dan and Rod get to the final numbers, I'll get that to you as quickly as we can.
Yeah, but the main issue is we have to make sure it's implemented and been voted on by their board and our board so that when the presentation comes forward, it's legal and nobody's can raise a flag on it.
Sure. And we'll have that ready for a vote at our next meeting.
Very good. But if you've submitted, we're going to have the information for the STM warrant.
No, we have a placeholder. We'll have a placeholder and then we have time to work on the numbers.
Okay, so it'd be like
prior to the book being printed.
so you'll have like a sum of money and then plug in the number.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, are we all, Tom, you all set on the STM?
That's it for STM articles from me.
Okay.
What do you mean from
I'm
you?
proposing right now, my fellow board members, as you know, I'm circulating a citizen's petition for a revision to bylaw 15. But there was an email exchange over the proposed new bylaw that was being put in on the, as a citizen's petition on the ATM, the annual town meeting. And the Department of Revenue is not inclined to get involved, and that's been conveyed by their counsel to town council. So I'm still trying to decide exactly how I would approach that on the citizen's position, whether it should be just a pass it over for now or revise on town meeting floor. And we have time to make that decision, obviously, or I do, as a citizens petition pusher. But on the STM, I propose that we include the same bylaw 15 revision in the STM. And the reason I'm saying that is I had an email exchange with town council, and he was copying our friends on the Board of Selectmen. And basically, Mr. Bradley basically said, hey, all you had to do was bring this forward. We would have approved it, even though we don't like it. You should own it, and it's my position was, well, we did that with the bylaw 15 in the spring ATM, and, you didn't approve it. He seemed to have selective memory on that because he immediately referred to the citizens petition, which was in the fall of 2020 for the STM. So I'm proposing that he had a line in here where he said that, even though he didn't like it, he would have supported it. And basically my position would be, well, let's call him on that and let's put it back in under the DPW in the STM, as well as going forward with the citizens petition. So we get 2 bites at the apple. The only thing that'll happen at town meeting, if they do put it in, is they will be co-joined, and we'll treat them accordingly like we always have. And I just want to know if the board is supportive of doing that.
I am. I'm all supportive of doing that. As for Bradley, what about our 2016 audit that was passed? They chose not to implement that with some creative language. Thing is legal but improper. It also happened again in 2018, but they fooled with the vote by Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator made a mistake on the count. So they recounted that lost by like 8 votes. So, as for Bradley, yeah, I got a bridge to sell him. So, he has a selective memory.
How do you feel?
They're going to screw us on this too. So, well, we do the best they can. We'll put it everywhere we can, Dave. Every page.
Yep.
We can put it in, special, annual, whatever. I don't care if they're listening or not,
Yep. Mr. Shaughnessy, how do you feel about that?
Bylaw 15, can you restate what bylaw 15 was?
That is the revision to the audit bylaw that requires specific examination of the indirects and the offsets. It also, in my explanation, suggests that it's time to take and no longer refer to the Director of Corporations and Taxation, and instead insert the Director of the Department of Revenue, since that is now the body that handles all that. And it has not been revised since its 1938 original drafting.
I am in favor of bylaw 15, as you just stated. We need to have something out there that says they just can't do an overview audit. They need to get down into the grass.
Yep, 30,000 feet doesn't work. Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for me.
Okay, where are we now? All right, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Bobby. Item 3, I guess this is your up, Rod. Water Engineering Services, Furnace Brook, well number 2, cleaning and rehab.
Okay. The next pump station that the water supervisor wanted to move on was the Furnace Brook 2 well pump. The capacity has dropped off on that well, so it looks like it requires some well cleaning. Amy Engineers was contacted to provide a proposal to do this, to conduct the testing and to prepare a bid specification, bid documents to redevelop the well and to most likely replace the pump and column, and some other instrumentation work is required too as well.
Yeah.
The proposal from Amory was $4,000, a lump sum to conduct the testing and prepare the bid documents, essentially do the design, and a budget of $5,000 on a time and material basis to assist in the bid process, reviewing bids, recommend award, review pay estimates, review shop submittals, and pump testing results. I just sent an award recommendation, but I guess Tom will read the award, the motion. If there's no questions, Amory has done several of these well cleaning rehabs and performed satisfactory. And we hope to get moving on this with the specific pump test as soon as possible.
Hey, Rod, you can't get the engineer that did the last time we did it in 2007?
He's temporarily tied up. I did run across his lengthy report, and it was well written, and I wish I could have him back.
I can always put in for the senior citizens tax relief.
Okay. But I do have the step-by-step procedure. I just read it. I think I shredded it though.
That's all right.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, the staff recommends awarding the contract for engineering services to Amory Engineering, Duxbury, Mass. For the lump sum of $4,000 to conduct testing and prepare bid documents and budget of $5,000 for administration and construction services on a time and materials basis for a total amount not to exceed $9,000. The motion is to award contract 2021 engineering services, redevelopment of Furnace Brook Well number 2 and pump replacement to Amory Engineers, Duxbury, Mass. For an amount not to exceed $9,000 as specified, and the chairman or designee will sign the contract when the documents are prepared.
Sounds good. I'll second that, Tom.
Motion's been made and seconded. Barring any discussion, Mr. Carrier,
Aye.
Mr. Cusick,
Aye.
Mr. Shaughnessy,
Aye.
unanimous 3-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks,
Thank
Rod.
you, Rod.
Where are we now?
Update, discussion, we're doing updates, snow and ice.
Oh, yeah. I talked with Tom earlier today, and Tom, you want to explain what's going to happen? Because we had a, I sent it in to everyone, the spreadsheet for the employee hours for the new building. And I thought with that spreadsheet could easily be duplicated for our snow budget. So Tom has a good presentation on this. Tom, if you want to take it, go right ahead.
Sure. What we've done, Dan and I have, Dan has developed a spreadsheet similar to the one that we use for tracking the overtime for the building construction. And we've sent them out to two of the supervisors and the foreman at solid waste. It's going to be their responsibility to track the employees that are plowing on town routes during the day. The after hours overtime is already tracked through snow and ice, but during the day they're on straight time. So what we've done is it will be, as long as they are working on a town plow route, they will keep track of it on the spreadsheets that we've issued. If they are just maintaining pump stations, their own properties, then they're not going to track that on the spreadsheet, only when they're working on the public ways.
Well, that's 90% of their time anyhow, so.
Right. So that's the plan. That spreadsheet, each one of them will submit it to Highway, and Highway will accumulate all the time and put it into one spreadsheet, and we'll have that for you, John.
How are we going to get that monies back into our account? If in fact we're paying the employees while they're plowing with the ratepayers' money, which by the way, you really can't do. I mean, it's in the manual that we cannot use any money that's not related to that particular fund. So, you know, this is really a gray area. How are we going to get that money back?
I don't know right now. We'd have to track it through offsets, I most imagine.
Well, are they going to agree to it or just play the game as well, we run the show? You know, we can just stop plowing, that's all. You know, if we don't have a way of getting our money back, what Why deal with them?
If I might comment, Mr. Cusick?
Go right ahead.
Tom, I think as part of this, and Dan, as part of the approach to this, track it, but also at the same time, find out what the equivalent cost would be for contractors under snow and ice, covering those same routes that our guys are covering. And we should be coming in cheaper than the contractors, in which case that's an argument that would support doing offsets as opposed to taking them off and having a higher cost of snow and ice, which is one of those budgets we can deficit spend if we have to. I will comment, I reviewed the spreadsheets when they came through before the meeting, and they look good to me, and it looks like a good tracking method. Good setup, Dan.
Thank you.
That's my comment.
Thanks, Dan. Go ahead, Bobby. You got any input?
I'm for a government that is accountable in all areas. I fully support the spreadsheet and at least getting the data so we have a good argument to get it refunded.
Yeah. I agree with that. We got to start recovering some of these money instead of, just talking about it and having Patrick come back and say, well, we're not going to do this and we're not going to do that, Somewhere along the line, we got to have an agreement with these monies. Somewhere. But anyhow, all right. I guess that's a good answer, Tom and Dan. Thank you. Okay. How about if we move on to flooding at intersection of Mayflower and Country Way? I get a lot of calls on this.
Yeah, as what we've done out there, John, we've taken the Vector and the Jetter. We've started in the intersection and moved out towards Ocean Street. There is a collapsed pipe there. The plan is to address it this spring. We took care of the issue out on Plymouth and Ocean.
Yep.
This line dumps directly into that same system. So now that once we get in and open that up and find the blockage, it may be a collapsed pipe, it may be just a bunch of dirt or something that's accumulated and caused the blockage. We'll get in there, we'll replace the piece of pipe, and hopefully that will alleviate the flooding down there. Once we do that, then we'll be able to pave the intersection and both intersections actually.
Yeah, that's long overdue, but thanks for looking into that and taking care of that problem.
No,
Any comment from Dave or Bob?
I have one.
Go ahead.
The one concern I have, and I know it's a concern for the people that have to use that intersection, that is, to make it a priority once we get the main roads done with sanding and salting, to make sure we hit that intersection, because that's always a slippery spot, and it is a school bus route.
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is a blind intersection too when you're coming down Country Drive or way headed towards the gas station. Mayflower comes in on an angle, and due to the vegetation there or the trees or whatever they are, you can't. By the time that car sees you, they have to put on their brakes, or you do, and that is, as Dave said, it does ice over pretty bad. Also, the one up on Priscilla and Circuit, that crazy question mark curve that floods. Cars run through that and drag the ice and water up the street and it turns to black ice. And that's used by a smaller school bus. So there's a couple of areas that maybe have to be flagged and sanded.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Well, we're aware of that being a tough spot there with flooding, and it ices over. That's one of the major concerns of the neighbors down there awaiting the children who are waiting the school bus.
That's correct. That's the school bus. That's where they stop. Matter of fact, the bus now doesn't stop where it used to. It goes way over onto Mayflower. But go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry, Tom, to interrupt. Go ahead, Bobby. I hear you want to.
My question is that whole area. When was it originally built with those drainage systems? I think over 50 years old, 100 years old. And the question I have is, we do that it's like the sewer line where you line the pipes. Are we getting collapsed pipes, or is it getting just because of age? Is there a way of relining those pipes in order to make them so they're not so vulnerable?
If they're corrugated metal, then they'll have to be dug up and replaced. Depending on the RCP, reinforced concrete pipe, we'd have to camera it to find out if it's worth trying to line them rather than just replacing them.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't have a program on rebuilding storm drains.
No.
And is that something that we should be looking at, or is we just going to take it on a one-by-one basis?
Yeah. Well, a lot of our drainage is old.
Yeah.
A lot of it's country drainage up north. So, I mean, we have enough issues trying to get funding to take care of what we have. And if we could come up with a program, that would be great, but I'm concerned about finding the revenue in order to pay for the program.
So my question is, if we had a program to go along because it's Chapter 90 money, that's similar to the paving, is that something that could be funded out of Chapter 90?
Yes, drainage can be funded out of Chapter 90. We also get 200,000 for road reconstruction that we can also use for drainage.
So my point is that when we go to the DPW DOT and we had things upgrading certain drainage, that could be part of the request.
The app's called back up and go.
Right, and one of the things we need to do, we already have a roads program in place, and we have a list of categories by need, categorized by need. So we could add another piece to it by including the drainage.
Well, all you have to do is put another line on that with that request saying they were dedicating X number of dollars towards rehabilitation of the old drainage.
Right. When we go out and inspect a road, we do look at the drainage, we look at the catch basins and the outfalls. We've already done a program on the outfalls. So, we can incorporate that into other parts also. So it does make sense to, when we do a road and we rebuild that whole road, it makes sense to address the drainage while we're there.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, thank you. That's all I had to say.
One comment I wanted to make was memory of Plymouth Avenue in certain areas back when I was working on the engineering staff. A lot of that was corrugated metal pipe. And you're quite right, Tom. If it's CMP, the chances are after the length of time that stuff's been in the ground, it has to be replaced.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that.
We found that when we did Bluefish Cove, when we dug up the drainage down there, there was actually no bottom to the pipes. So, and that's a little, tougher spot where you're dealing with seawater and other things down there. Excuse me.
Okay, I'm all set with this.
I'm all set with this.
Okay, thanks, Tom, Dave, Bob. The next item under discussion is with Sean. When he was here, he had a Facebook DPW page, and that's what it said, DPW page. So there's no one really running that page now.
That's because it's been shut off. It was Sean's personal Facebook that he used. So what we've talked about is to create another Facebook page, and either our dispatcher or our highway admin is willing to be the administrators to that Facebook page. And what we'd like to do with it is that we would only use it to send out messages. You wouldn't be able to reply to our messages.
That's good.
I know Sean got a little upset over some of the responses on Facebook that were very negative, and that he shut it down for a time. And I asked him if he would restart it and try to find the ability not to be able to comment on our Facebook posts going out. It's a public service to let people know where we're plowing, where there's an issue. We really don't need to get, some derogatory remarks in regards to what we're trying to do. We're all doing our best. But it's always in somebody's eyes, we could do better, so we do the best we can. We don't need the derogatory remarks. We'd like to keep people posted on what's going on in a positive way.
I have a
Yeah,
comment
as long
on
as
social
we,
media.
go ahead, Bobby, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I have a comment for social media. We have an IT person that does the social media stuff. Do the police and the fire have, web pages that we, other than the internet, but on social media, that just announce, it's an announcement type of service versus a interactive type of service?
Yes, I believe the police department has something similar.
So I think what we're really looking at is just have it as an announcement service versus an interactive service.
Correct.
And can the IT people sort of set that up and then have someone at the highway garage be the mediator or the administrator?
Yep, we can look into that.
Okay,
You see that the way, John?
yeah, I mean, let's look into it. If we can have a Facebook page and with postings by our staff with no interactions, no replies. I think that can easily be done. It's just a click of something. I'm not that familiar with Facebook, but I guess you wouldn't have any friends. It would just be a static page where you do announcements.
Yes.
So that would be fine. That would work, Tom. Then if they said like, if I walked on water, they'd say I couldn't swim. So, you always get comments.
Definitely.
So why don't we look into that? Is the consensus of the board? Dave,
Yep, I'm in on it.
Bobby,
I'm fine.
and I'm fine with it. Okay, go for it, Tom. See what we can do.
All right, great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we're going on to, and by the way, the residents here, Tom is going to address the questions that Seth Sprague and Woodlot in his superintendent's report. So bear with us. The Ocean Bluff revetment, we have, if someone could recognize Dave Miller, he's the new president. If we unclick him, let him talk and introduce himself. See it, Dave Miller, president. I don't know if he can hear me.
That would be good.
He has to unclick himself, John.
Okay, anybody else can see they're all,
Looks like they're all.
that's too bad.
Everybody I see is mute.
And then mute, unmute. Can you
Unmute.
you have to ask him to unmute.
Dave Miller, if you can hear me, will you unmute your microphone so you can introduce yourself to the board and to the staff? How about Ron? Any?
Hi, folks. Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, we're trying to get, I guess you
Right.
heard me. I guess you heard me, Ron. We're trying to get Dave Miller to unmute his mic.
Right.
If he doesn't, you can introduce him and he'll have to listen to you.
Yeah. So if Dave's having trouble, Dave just took over the position as president with our association, and we're excited about having Dave on board. And there's been a few changes to our board members in our association, and I just want to say that we're committed to working with you folks in a respectful and in a fair manner. So.
He said, I don't mean to interrupt you, Ron, but Dave is unmuted.
There you go, Dave. So,
Dave,
folks,
take it over.
Dave Miller.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dave.
Dave.
Most of you probably, or some of you know me from 500 Ocean Street, Father Shea's old house. We've been doing quite a bit of work on it if you've been by. I'm excited to be with the association. I have followed it since we've been here. We've been here for a couple of years now on 500 Ocean. We moved from 14 Setauket over to here. So we've been around 4 or 5 years. I've been watching everything and watching how helpful the town really is. We know you've had some interactions with the previous board on the negative side, if you will. We're really here just to try to help out where we can, give you as much input as we can on the positive side. And of course, if there's any negatives, we'll bring them up as well. But we're here to work with the town. We're listening to you. We're about 90 members strong now, I guess we are. If you see my background, that right now is where the revetment was repaired. I wish it would look like that right now, but the past couple of Northeasters have done a little bit of damage to them. But just to say hi, and I'll be listening often.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Welcome
Thank you.
aboard.
Thank you, Tony.
Tom, can you address the, Dave might have the answer to that, or Rod might have the answer. Some money, I think Rod has it. The monies that were the 350, and then we had a $40,000 bid, and we have monies tucked away in an account we'll use for emergency service. Can you update the members on that? I don't know about the questions because I didn't see them myself. So if you want to take it, Rod or Tom, whatever works for you.
I will say, John, that we don't have answers to the questions as of now because we just got them the end of last week.
Yeah. Okay.
We forward them to CEI. There is an article for a transfer of funds. $314,000 to be transferred from the one account into the Ocean Bluff repair. So the $314,000 is going to be transferred into being able to use it to repairs or design. So I'm going to turn it over to Rod at this point. But that is a special town meeting article for the transfer. So I'm going to turn it over to Rod now. He's going to explain to you a little bit more about what's going on.
So the major reason that I asked to have this on the agenda is I've been talking with a FEMA rep, and we sent them the study, and they're aware that we're trying to come up with solutions to repair the revetment. But they're anxious because of other storms and other money that's due to the town from prior storms, and the fact that the Riley storm, which was the March of 2018, overlaps, some damage that was done from the Juno storm in 2015. They're anxious that on what we're going to do, and how we're going to proceed. So the reason why I wanted to discuss with the board is that there was a discussion with the prior superintendent, Sean Patterson, and the town treasurer collector regarding the his position on let's say an $18 or $20 million project going forward from a construction standpoint, and there was just no positive response there. There's the town doesn't have the money, blah blah blah. So the discussion was perhaps we should not proceed with the design and permitting at this point. We haven't really discussed what option we're going to. I was leaning towards the expanded footprint, and that comes with a price tag of about $19 or $20 million, whatever, in that range. But we haven't really discuss that. We were waiting for the questions and then come back with GEI and really get into it. But right now, we don't have buy-in from at least the financial group for even being able to fund the construction. So why would we be moving ahead with design at this point? That just came up. FEMA kind of put the pressure on us because of the delays in getting this repaired. And it's not just our fault because we haven't moved on it. It's a major project. We have about $8 million plus in claims that we submitted from both of those storms. About 2.3 million from the Juno storm and over 6 million from the Riley storm. And they haven't. The Juno storm was 2015. They haven't even committed or approved of that initial claim. They wrote it up, they negotiated, and then they submitted it up the chain of command, but no decision had been made on the 2015 storm. That's 6 years ago. So, but this Riley storm came on top of that, and so now we've got more than $8 million worth of claims. So we run the risk, if we don't move with the design, we run the risk of losing the potential of FEMA reimbursement. So, that issue just came to the table, and I just wanted to throw it out there that if we don't move ahead with the design, there is FEMA might just close out those two projects, claims that we have submitted, and not commit any funds for reimbursement. So that's kind of where we stand right now. I've got to get back to them at some point to discuss which way we're going with this. It doesn't look like the town is going to come up with the kind of funding that we need to come up with. Now we can construct in phases. There's certainly we can go forward with a design and permitting and construct in phases. If we pick something like the expanded footprint, we're talking about a year minimum for permitting, and so those are the types of time frames. So, but I need to tell FEMA something, and this the fact that construction funding doesn't appear to be on the table right now. It throws a monkey wrench into us proceeding with the design. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know if I said it clear enough, but
No.
So
I mean, there is the opportunity of phasing this. As Rod mentioned, do we, how do we permit it? Are they willing to let us reconstruct 25%, 50%? Those are the questions that we need to get answered. Is it eligible for the dams and seawall reimbursement program?
Should be.
So these are things that going through the questions with CEI, we'll have a better idea. I'm hoping.
yeah. Dams and seawalls just came out. The RFI came out for design only. This could, if we have the money for design, I believe we probably have enough. We haven't even pursued, full design costs and proposals yet. And I've got to also check with FEMA on whether or not I've got to go out and I want it in writing that they would allow us to proceed with the designer that we have. If not, then I've got to go through a proposal solicitation. But they initially told me that we probably could proceed because initially when we proceeded with Bay Avenue, that we included that there would be additional design work and that we could use that proposal solicitation. But I don't have that in writing yet. So I want it because, you know, it's a sizable amount and FEMA would reimburse you for that. So we need to get that in writing from them. But, you know, just, you know, do we go ahead with this design? You know, at this point, you know, without any support for any construction funding, because you don't want to have a design sit on a shelf for years. You know, it's okay to, but it is going to take a year to get the permitting through.
So the 314,000 that's being transferred over to Ocean Bluff would be enough for
I think that would be enough for design.
design and permitting?
Design and permitting. I believe so. Yeah. That's what we estimated initially. We think it will be enough.
Or do we keep this 314 in abeyance for repairs and request through the dams and seawall the money for design and permitting?
Tom, that's what I was thinking. That if we could put the money out for the grant to get the design and at least the design done and some of the permitting, we keep hold this money for at least emergency repairs of the worst areas down there.
Right, and we would need our 25% share would have to come from that 314.
Yeah.
Well, if we can get the grant, if we can get that money, that's good money. We also have some money. If Rod remember over on Foster Ave, there would be money, some left for that revetment.
Yeah, there's a little money left. I don't know how much it is.
Yeah, it could be about 100 or something like that.
Yeah, 40,000, John.
That's all right. It's money. I mean, it all adds up, you know?
All adds up for sure.
Yeah, so that brings us up a little bit.
Well, I'm supportive of the idea of trying to get the grant money for design and hold back the 314 for emergency repairs. Or when the season of winter has passed, if we have some areas we can get at for restoration, we should do that too.
Hey guys, this is Ron Gilbertson. I think we always talked about a phasing approach, right? For the last year or so.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, and that could be creative. We had some of the state senators and people talking about that, and it'd be creative. Maybe you know, if they phased it properly, that you could go back annually. FEMA. So the FEMA issue is confusing to me. So they could actually kick the claim.
Yeah, if they see no action from us over a period of time, they could.
Is there a time frame they usually do that in, or?
I mean, they haven't even approved of the project that was submitted in 2015. So, I mean, they write the rules and they change the rules the way they want to rule if they want to change them. You know, it's kind of frustrating. If they had approved of this and we moved to town meeting, and knowing that FEMA is going to pay 75%, and they approved of it, then it makes it a lot easier for us to go to town meeting and get a positive result.
Right. So that's really where we need to put some effort then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, but you know, it's going on 6 years now, and they haven't budged on it.
Right.
But then they turn around and say, "Well, you haven't done anything yet." Well, you know, it would help if you know, since you're agreeing to reimburse, that you commit to it, and they haven't committed to it yet.
One of the issues we have, and it lies with our federal congressional delegation, is nobody is actually sitting on the committees that pull the budget string for FEMA. And we have a similar issue with the Corps of Engineers. And years ago, our federal representative for this area did sit on the Corps' committee, and he pulled budget strings, and we always managed to get the dredgings and other work done a lot quicker. And that's one of the places with 90 people that you guys can take a really good action on, is to be writing to the representative and the senators and just telling them that, we've got these issues and we need somebody sitting on those committees that can make sure that New England's inputs are in there. You got a lot of the people down through Florida and the Gulf Coast that sit on those committees. And they tend to get a better kick for the buck and quicker than we do.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, I believe Bill Keating, Congressman Keating is on the FEMA and Army Corps. He's involved with both of those.
Well, then I
That's a
stand
good
corrected.
contract.
Let's write him.
Definitely.
Also, we have our former state representative, Mr. Cantwell, who works for.
We've been in touch with all those people. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So Senator Markey, so he's working for Senator Markey, and he has firsthand knowledge of that. So, I mean, he can be the discussion to the senator directly.
Yeah, Marky was down here once, at one time. We were at a breakfast down there at Haddad's. He's familiar with the area. So what's our next move? What's our next? We're waiting answers for the questions and then have another meeting with the residents.
You think they'd be back by next Public Works meeting?
Well, I would suggest that once we get the response from CEI,
Yep.
I would recommend that we have a meeting prior to maybe, if we get them back before the next meeting, I would rather us sit down as a group and have a discussion prior to going before the board.
Right.
So once we get those answers to the questions, maybe we could have a quick Zoom meeting some afternoon and go over those questions. And in the meantime, we could probably start a letter writing campaign to the congressman, the senator, and a few other of our state representatives and senators, and ask for their support.
Okay.
DEI apply for this grant, the state grant for design, if that's what you want to do.
I think, Ron, by having, Dave, I think by having a meeting once we get the answers, it would be concentrating on one item rather than having to sit through a whole meeting.
That's a good suggestion.
You want to reach out to us, Tom?
Yes, once we get the response, we'll set something up, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
Okay.
We'll find out from CEI how long it's going to take them, and then we'll reach out to you people and we'll set some type of a meeting up.
Okay, Ron. All right, Dave.
I'm good with me.
All right, are you all set? You all set, Dave? Ron, you guys are set. All right, Dave, you all set? Bobby, you have any more? Okay, well.
No, I know I'm full in favor of keeping this project moving, because
Okay.
I mean, it's the same way as we did with the seawalls.
Yeah.
We faced it in and got it done. We just have to keep on hammering at it.
Yep, I agree with you. They did a good job on those. Okay, let's, thanks for Dave, Ron, and the rest of you residents for the Ocean Bluff Reservation. Okay, let's move on to, I guess, with Superintendent's report, which would include Seth and Woodlot. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, thank you. First on my report is the road acceptance. And the roads that we will be accepting is our Stony Brook, Ridge Road, Seth Sprague Drive, Old Woodlot, Hollow Road, Weir River Lane, Cottage Lane, and Horseshoe Lane. Those will be the roads that we will be putting forth at the annual town meeting. Ridge Road, engineering is required. Seth Sprague, we need to update the plan a little bit. Rod had a concern with some of the drainage, but we did see a plan that identified all of the drainage lots. Hollow Road needs additional engineering. So what we'll be doing is we'll be scheduling public hearings. So we have to find out a couple of things about easements. Stony Brook Road was taken a tax title. We need to find out some information on that. And that's pretty much it on the road acceptance. If Rod has anything to add?
No, I did talk with the association that represented the Horseshoe Farm Lane and those other two roads. The plan that they had prepared was an as-built plan. It did have the layout information on the plan, but it's likely that we will require a more simplified plan without all the detail on it, just the taking information. But we can move forward with the hearing because we have all the layout information on there, and it's actually helpful to see existing conditions as well. So, but we can move forward with the hearing, and then they will follow up and provide the acceptance plan that's more simplified and less cluttered. So that's not going to prevent us from having a hearing, and then we'll be ready for town meeting, hopefully with the acceptance plan.
Okay.
I have a question for the board in regards to these hearings. It requires the board to approve the layouts. The DPW files vote and plan with the town clerk. So on each one of these plans, it's going to be required of the board to accept and approve the layouts. My question is, can we hold these hearings prior to a board meeting and bring the results to the board meeting for the board's vote?
Sure you can.
Yeah, all we would do then in that situation is the motion would be to confirm and ratify.
Okay. So, and for
Good call, Dave.
and because of the time frame, I think that's probably the best way that we proceed, is that we can schedule 3 hearings remotely 3 days in a row to get them done. And that way we could send the notices out all at once. We have to give them a 7-day notice. So if we send the notices all out at once, it will be a 7-day notice. They will have a hearing on the 8th day and the 9th day after the notices are out. So we can conduct those hearings, get that all taken care of, and then bring it to the board for a vote of the board, and then it has to go to town meeting for town meeting vote of approval.
Yeah. The one thing I'd say, Tom, is I'm pretty comfortable that we can do the confirm and ratify, but just bounce it off town council.
Certainly. We'll do.
Thanks, Dave. Phyllis, go ahead. You okay? I'll recognize you, but I know you have some questions.
Well, my question was, are Woodlot and Cessprague going to be accepted? And from what you say, you are going to accept them, and we're just delighted up here. Just wanted you to know that the Sealand, who's the developer of Highland Green, had to cut through part of Woodlot, and he is going to top that off in the spring, so it should be fine.
Okay.
And could I just ask, these hearings,
Sure.
Are they hearings on the town accepted, whether they be accepted, or?
No, we're required by law to hold a hearing. And what we would do is we would post a public hearing. We would notify all of the abutters on those roadways that we are accepting.
Oh, okay.
And they would tune into the hearing and ask any questions relative to anything that we're doing. We'll try to answer everything to the best of our ability. And it's just a formality. We have to go through this hearing. There's like 10 steps that we have to follow in order to get the road accepted. And this is one of them.
So the residents will be notified so that
we will give you a certified letter.
Okay.
You'll be notified of the hearing.
Thank you very much.
I'll keep you posted, Phyllis.
Okay, thank you so much. We do
Tom,
appreciate it.
Tom, will you keep me posted for the Zoom meeting so I can contact Phyllis and have them zoom in?
Certainly.
Okay, Phyllis, so I'll, same as we did before. So at this meeting, I'll make sure that you have the right link.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm speaking on behalf of Bernie Dupuy is on this call. He's here present tonight, and the association down the hill is also really happy and supporting this. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Rod, for your hard work on this. Okay.
I have a question on the
Harry,
subject.
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I have a question on the subject.
Go right ahead, Bob.
I'm asking for, I know we had talked about reestablishing some acceptance of roads in a year ago. The question I have is, what is the criteria for selecting these roads and why these roads? What is the current liability if we accept this road, and what are the future costs on these roads?
I don't think there's any future cost other than,
Well, we own them. If we own them, there's going to be future costs.
well, there's future cost to everything, you know? Everything has a cost.
One of the things that we're looking, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rod, but there are some improvements that need to be done to some of these roads. And that's one of the things that we're kicking around, is whether we're responsible to upgrade these roads, or is it the homeowners association that is required to upgrade these roads before they're accepted?
Well, he was talking about future maintenance, Tom,
I was
not,
talking about the current liabilities and future costs.
Well, the future costs, I mean, by accepting the roads, they go into our inventory. We
Yeah.
get roughly $5,000 a lane mile from the state for our Chapter 90 money. So by adding these roads, it's roughly 11,000, almost 12,000 feet.
2 miles.
So we're looking at a couple of miles increase, so,
Yeah, $15,000 more
right.
for all these roads. But the liability is greater than the actual cost that we get. But we're not spending it every year. It's overall the overall system. I'm just looking at it from a standpoint is like, you know, we need to keep our eyes open of what we're taking on. Initially, who's going to pay for upgrading the roads to 100%? Now, and then, if we do accept it, I understand that we do have future costs. But the first question I had was, what was the criteria for accepting these particular roads versus other roads?
weren't they accepted before and they got tossed?
Right.
I think they were already accepted and something happened with the recording.
They were never recorded.
That's correct. So they were accepted, but never recorded.
There was 11 roads, I believe.
Yep.
So these go back to 2003, 2004?
Yep.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so we're still working off the old list.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I want. I didn't want to be put in, we're not taking on something new. We're just taking something that was previous done many years ago before we put a moratorium on accepting roads, and we're cleaning up that list.
We are taking on Seth Sprague and Woodlawn of newer, along with Weir River, Cottage Lane, and Horseshoe Lane, which are brand new.
And why are we taking on the brand new ones?
Because I thought that prior superintendent wanted to start with the newest roads because they would need the least amount of work.
Okay.
In the near future. So we've got this quite an inventory of roads that haven't been accepted that are starting to degrade significantly, and that we need to, we might be able to save some of those roads with some maintenance versus having to fully reconstruct. So I think he was thinking that first of all, we'll hit the roads that don't need any, so that we can get the money from the state up front. We shouldn't have to touch those roads, And then with the additional money, maybe we can start to maintain some of these roads, accept a few of them, and start to do some maintenance to these roads before they totally fall apart. I think that's what his plan was, because there is a lot of subdivisions that haven't been accepted that are in dire need of maintenance. Crack sealing, patching.
I agree with that, right? But the bottom line is like there's a lot of developments that are falling apart, and that if we accept those roads, are we accepting the liability and fixing the road, and not the association?
You're absolutely accepting that responsibility.
Right. Well, that's a danger. But well, no, since a lot of these new ones, I understand where you're coming from. And Dave, Kerry, last year said we're going to start accepting some roads and see how it goes. So let's accept these roads, and because it's on the backlog and the new ones, and then we'll just hopefully not open up a Pandora's box. That's all.
I'd like to comment, I sat with Sean, someone who was working on this stuff and trying to set it out. And I know Tom was actually involved, I think, before retirement, if I recall correctly, in return. And I think actually it was before he went for heart surgery. And the bottom line was the concept of mixing both new and previously accepted roads for the initial go, and then going forward with both new and older developments was just the way it was described by Tom. And that is that it allows us to have, or Rod, allows us to have additional funding with a new road that we can devote to older roads that need the rehab and the reconstruction if that's needed. And, I think most of the time, the communities that when we talk to some of the past older road acceptance areas, I think we may be able to find situations where if we can't get a grant because of the safe streets or something like that, we might have a chance to, have some chip in from the homeowners associations if they can manage it. And I think we should proceed. We are a town, and
We all pay
it was always
taxes.
frustrating. It was always frustrating to me when I sat in the superintendent's chair to not be accepting roads for people. They're paying the same taxes as everybody else.
Good explanation, Dave. Thanks, Bobby. Are you okay, Phyllis? You all right?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for
I
showing up.
understand a lot better now.
Okay, I'll keep you posted.
Thanks to all of you.
Thanks, Phyllis. Thanks for your membership.
Thank
The other thing I mentioned before we cut off on this is that, because it is a public hearing, it will be posted on the calendar that is on the town website. So if you click on that calendar, you can, scan the week and see when the hearing is coming up. So then you'll have 2 ways of finding out about it.
She knows. Phyllis knows.
Okay, I'm going to finish up my report. The generator for the office arrived this morning, is being hooked up, was being worked on this afternoon. I don't think it's online as of this evening. The temporary building bid went out. It was a lot higher than anticipated. I've had a discussion with staff, and I'm looking at another location perhaps for storing vehicles for the winter. But the consensus of staff is that we're not going to build this building. We're going to try to find an alternative location. 500,000 plus to put a temporary building up is, as far as I'm concerned, is overkill. And I think we can get by without it. And that $500,000 will go to work more in a better, efficient way into the building than putting up a temporary hoop building.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're
I
gonna.
sat with Tom today, and I concur with that decision, and I was there for the Zoom bid opening, such as it was, and the 550 was the low bid. Yeah, they went as high as $300,000.
Actually, the low bid was in the 4s, but they weren't decamp certified, so they get thrown out.
That's right. You're right.
The
Yep.
next bid was 553 with an add alt of 97,000.
Yeah.
So that's over $600,000 for a temporary building that I think the money can be used much better in another spot.
I agree, as long as
What's the other
And then
spot?
we have something, we have the goal in mind of what we're gonna do.
What's
I
the
don't
other
wanna waste
spot?
money.
What's the other spot, Tom? What do you mean? In the new building or?
Well,
And
no, we're looking at a possibility of an adjacent, a butter that might have a garage, that we could possibly lease, for say a year. That would be far less expensive than what we've been quoted on to put up a temporary building.
I think I know what you mean. Okay.
The other point I'd like to make on this is, right now we are roughly halfway through the winter, and by the time this hoop building was constructed, we'd be into March probably by the time we actually would be able to use it. So we're not really going to get the use out of it this winter, even if we went forward with the bid, in my opinion.
Right. No, you're right, Dave.
Yeah, all right.
So
Okay,
that's,
well,
so that we're gonna be working on that, trying to find a temporary location. The other is, we've been, preparing for the storm all day. It looks like it's kind of petering out right now. It's pretty much all rain. We knocked everyone off at 6 o'clock. Once it turned to all rain, they'll be prepared to return if the temperature drops overnight or if we pick up any more snow. I mentioned about Mayflower and Old Country. The last item that I have is the Plymouth Ave sinkhole. We addressed it. We're monitoring to see if there is any more washout underneath there. Once the weather gets a little better, and if we have to dig out there, that's what we're doing. I'm not sure if the board was approached prior to me coming back on about a position for an IT person in DPW. Was that discussed at a board meeting?
Yes.
It was. Okay. I was approached today in regards to that position. They're looking to hire a full-time IT person who would be under the direction of, he would be housed in the DPW office. This position would be the DPW's IT person, also would be our SCADA person for water and wastewater. So, and the way that they're looking at it is that it would be a 51-49 split, with 51% of the general fund and 49% from the enterprise funds. And Dan and I had a little conversation about this, that, perhaps solid waste doesn't use as much IT. They use a little. But maybe we look at, do we want to incorporate solid waste into that 49%? Or do we want to split it evenly between water and wastewater and then use the indirects to offset the cost for solid waste? Because I don't know if there's enough IT work up, with solid waste, where water and sewer requires a lot with the skate. So
what's a skate?
I'm
What's
throwing
a
that out.
skate? What is a skate you're talking about? What do you mean?
SCADA is the communications that we use in water and wastewater. It talks to us from the towers, the pump stations. We can remotely access through SCADA to shut off a pump or to reset a pump. So there's a number of things.
But what are we doing now? What are we doing now, Tom?
Right
Wait a minute,
now, we
Dave, let me
hire
find out.
right now, water has their own contractor and wastewater has their own contractor that we hire for SCADA.
So what's wrong? I'm not for hiring any IT guy from the general fund. Let them stay. No.
So,
Well,
and I know, like Dave, when we talked about it before, David talked about maybe bringing a consultant. And the reason I wanted Tom to talk about it today is because when they called me, it seemed as though they were moving forward and going to be posting the position. But
Well,
I'm
let 'em
saying to them,
post
don't pull the trigger yet because there hasn't been a decision made by the
No,
board.
I'm not for that. I'm not for it
But
at all.
on the other hand, John, all the time you tell us, you don't want to have indirect costs. So here's an opportunity for having direct costs for an IT person that would be specific to the DPW that could handle all enterprise.
Yeah,
And then if they did some work for, say, the police station or the fire, then possibly we could charge them through the offsets.
yeah,
But
yeah,
we've
yeah.
also spoke about
Yeah.
paying for a portion of it.
Just like they owe us the 256. Come on.
I know, John, but
Yeah.
you're jumping on both sides. You don't want direct costs, you want direct costs.
Listen,
So this is an
I know what I
opportunity
want.
for us to get a
I
direct
know
cost.
exactly what I want. Don't try to pigeonhole me into what I want. I want the 256 back. If they want an IT guy, we'll hire him and pay them for his time. But I don't want to see him on our payroll. There's not enough work for him.
Excuse me, I'd like to interject on that, John.
Go ahead.
Right now, we will be looking ahead at, within water, I know, to a SCADA system upgrade, system control and data acquisition upgrade. And that's because our older system is just that. It's an older system, and the software needs betterment, as well as a lot of the hardware and root devices. I believe that the character of the SCADA down at wastewater is a little newer, if I recall correctly, because a lot of it was upgraded when I was in the position while we were living with the old stuff. And Mike Leary, I believe, is I think it's Mike, right? That is the
He's the water.
SCADA consultant, huh?
Yes, it's Mike Leary.
Yeah, and he's very good, but he's if you got somebody that can handle a lot of the day-to-day stuff that happens in-house, that's good. The other thing is we were just talking about a Facebook page, and if you've got an IT guy on, he could become the keeper of that operation as well.
That's nothing, Dave. That Facebook is 5 minutes a day. Forget that.
I think it is a big deal, but it's there, and it's always nice when you got somebody who is computer literate on all that stuff.
I can handle the Facebook page blindfolded, so.
I personally think that we need to sit down and really analyze how many hours we think we're going to need and what the character of what has to be done, and decide. And when we had the initial discussions in a budget meeting when Sean was still here, it would boil down to, we didn't commit one way or the other to that hiring. We said we would discuss it. And actually, if I recall the discussion, and Dan, you were there, we were more leaning to the side of hiring somebody coming in on a part-time basis to IT for whatever we needed. And then if we found that we actually needed the extra help, then we could consider the fact of having somebody in, particularly if they could dovetail in to take care of the SCADA. I think 5149 is rather on the high side when it comes to the enterprise divisions. Other than SCADA, there just isn't that much more computer use being done by the water and wastewater versus the garage and the general administrative support staff. So it just seems high to me. I'd like to know how they came up with that number, 1501 and 49. I'm more on the mind of something like a 6535.
I have a question. I have a comment also. I agree with Dave from the standpoint of the SCADA, and we'll be very lucky if we got an IT person that could actually program the SCADA systems.
I was thinking that, Bob.
So I mean, without having an IT person that knows how to deal with SCADA, it's really not a 50-50 split, no matter which way you look at it.
That's true. I was thinking that the same thing is, how do we know that the individual, if we're hiring now this Mr. O'Leary, who seems to be an expert, how do we know that this IT guy is going to be proficient in the SCADA? So I think it needs more discussion, and it doesn't make sense to me, because the IT person could be as inefficient at SCADA, and now we're holding the bag at 51% or 49. I don't trust them anyhow. 90-10 would be better for me.
To comment further, it all depends on the person and their skill sets. So if you went out to bid and you came in with the person's resume and they had a lot of SCADA and also development thing.
Yeah.
We could very well, use that. If they don't, then it wouldn't make much sense to us. So I would
I
keep the
agree.
door, I'm not gonna shut the door on it. I would keep it open to see what the candidate pool would be.
Yep.
Because if we have to pull in a consultant on occasion from the SCADA developer, we could save money by having the in-house part-time person.
Yep,
But they have to have the skill set.
yep. I agree with you.
All right, in my conversation today, I told them that I needed to speak to the board and had to get the board's blessing before we moved on anything.
Well, you don't have our blessing.
Well, my point is that I'm not closing the door. I'd like to see the skill set of who the candidates are.
And Tom, my question is, what do we have in the, how did they derive the 51-49 split?
That's something I'll have to ask.
Okay,
Yeah, all I can say is on the articles that they were moving forward, they plan to move forward with, like we said, don't pull the trigger because we're not on board yet. But the breakdown was 15 grand, it was $60,000 a year, 15% of 15,000 from the general fund and 15 from each of the enterprise accounts. So that to me seems like a 75-25, but like
yeah, I was gonna say, that's not.
conversation today, it's 51-49, so they're changing every day. But we're just bringing it to you folks' attention because, like we said, if you were on board, then we'd go and say, yeah, pull the trigger. But if you're not on board, then why bother moving ahead and, have them sneak something in on us?
Dan, the question I'd have is, can we get a breakdown of workstations, that are either desktop PCs or like with the well technicians, they all have a laptop they run around with that ties into the SCADA system wirelessly. Can we get a count on all of that stuff broken out by divisions as to what's where, so that we can actually see the IT division split out as it sits between our general fund sections and elsewhere? And obviously, yourself, Tom, the timekeeper, they're bouncing all over the place, but that can be, whatever their laptop is can be divided up by the fractions of individuals they deal with from each divisions.
Sure. And I know that this whole process was brought forward by John Nash, who's the IT, the head of
Yeah, I know.
IT.
I know John's driving it.
So he's saying that, he's driving back and forth and that's taking up all his time. And that's how it all started. But I'm sure there's other thoughts behind it as well.
So Dan.
Yeah.
They're going to pay this person $60,000.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a SCADA person for $60,000.
Concur. You will not, unless the guy just retired from someplace as a SCADA guy and can do the other project. And he's trying to build a municipal pension to go with his private company one.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the best thing is to stay with the people that we have. But just be advised, when the indirects come next year, that they're going to be a lot higher for all the traveling that those guys had to do.
I don't care about their traveling. That's BS.
John, that's not true. You care about all the charges to the indirect.
I do. Well,
So
listen,
when these go up, this is going to be part of the.
Hey, listen, I wanted a breakdown of the hours for the supplies you're bringing back and forth from town hall. And I was told, well, it isn't that much, it's this is that. No, I got a thing here, $17,000 so far. What do they cost? What do they cost? I get an answer, it's not much. Now you tell me the IT guy's going to drive up the road, So be it. So let him drive up the road. What does it take? 10 minutes?
Yeah. Personally, I would rather see us hire somebody, if we're going to do it just as a pure IT arrangement, as a contractor that's on call and comes in with him and works, under the guidance of our IT people. That'll be short of money.
Yep, I agree with you 1,000%. I don't want anything to do with them downtown and try to 51% us. They just want to attack the enterprise accounts as they usually do.
And I made that point about the
256.
I made that point about the contractor, and you may recall that, Dan.
I do recall you say bringing a contractor.
Yeah, and then if you actually find somebody that you do need more and you like him, you can always hire him away from his company if he wants to go to work for you.
And ultimately, it's your decision. It doesn't matter to me. If you don't want to hire him, I'm on board. We'll do whatever you like.
Well, the bottom line is they can budget it all they want, but if we don't support the creation of the position and a willingness to accept it, we'll just argue against it on town meeting floor.
I completely agree.
All we're doing is bringing it before you.
I understand. We're not
Tell
shooting
them
the
to put
messenger.
it where Cusick will tell them to put it.
We're not shooting the messenger here. And that's John's personal opinion, not the opinion of the
I know.
entire board as to what to
I
say.
know, yeah, everybody's heard it before, I'm a bad person.
We can disagree
Okay,
with
what are we gonna do?
That's it for me on my superintendent's report.
It's all rain, Tom, like I told you it's gonna be all rain.
Yeah,
Stevie's home crying. Okay, we're gonna call it a night, we'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a
We
second?
take the meeting?
the next
Next meeting,
meeting is,
we're changing it.
Not,
it's not gonna be next Monday, the 8th, it's gonna be the following Monday,
15.
the 15th.
Is that a holiday?
Is that the holiday?
The holiday's the following week,
No,
I
it says the
believe.
following.
Oh, okay.
I could,
I left my stuff at home.
hi, Anne Marie.
Hi, John, how are you?
Good as usual. 15th is a Monday, I don't see any holiday, let's
All
see.
right.
Okay, good. So we'll
It's
do that.
wait a minute, it's President's Day.
Is,
I thought that's the next week.
Oh, it's the 15th. We'd have to go to the 22nd.
All right,
okay.
we'll go to the 22nd.
Why don't we do it on another night of the week? I mean, I'm just picturing, we've got some stuff coming up.
Yeah, that's okay.
Then why don't we do it the Tuesday,
Meeting.
to the 16th?
Yeah, we could do that.
All right,
Do it at the 16th.
16th, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, for holiday.
I want to make one final comment before we go.
Go ahead.
This meeting has been very easy on my ears. There's less double talk, whining, sounding. It has worked very well versus a lot of the feedback when everyone's in the same room. So, moving forward, we need to think about the people that watch it on cable TV or whatever, and the sounding. So I think if people can hear us, we need to afford it. I'll be very happy to get back and have everybody at the same table, but that's not going to happen for a couple more months.
Well, if I might, Tom?
Yeah.
I think you can explain how things are set up now in the conference room? 'Cause there's no longer a need for, like me with my iPad on to talk.
right. This afternoon, IT set up a computer with a camera and a microphone, so we can hold our meetings in our conference room going forward. And that everyone can sit at the table the way that the camera can be adjusted so that we can swing it around. We can swing the camera around so that you can see everybody that's in the room. So when someone's talking, we can point the camera at that individual as they're talking and then scan to the next person. So what we have here is going to enhance our ability to hold these meetings, and going forward, we'll be able to have them in our own conference room.
Amen.
I just wanted to make the comment that this meeting's been very efficient than previous ones.
Also, by having this equipment, it eliminates all the feedback that when there's number of machines on at the table, we're getting feedback on everyone. So now we'll just have one computer. Everyone will be seen by the camera, and we won't have that feedback. So
Who has the clicker, the chair?
no, actually, Dan's controlling it tonight.
No, I meant in future meetings.
Well, whoever's hosting it can control it.
It's where's the clicker? Listen, keep track of those charges because they should all come from the monies that were voted at town meeting and not get whacked on an indirect here for the IT guy. All of those costs should be from the monies that we voted at town meeting for the new building.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I mean, when we do all of this work with the IT, we're not doing it for free. We're getting charged for it. So
Yeah, I know, but it would come out of the monies that for the building. It's
definitely,
the cost to put the infrastructure in the new building.
definitely.
Yeah, it's not coming out of our enterprise budgets. It's coming out of that town meeting. Well, what was it, 4 or 5 million? Somewhere around there for the enterprise accounts. So if we keep track of those charges, just add it on to like you're doing on the other stuff.
Sure.
Okay, can you make that available? Is it some kind of a spreadsheet?
We'll see what we can do.
Well, I presented you one for tonight, so it'll be similar to that.
Okay.
All
You
right,
should be able to just run a condition of the account, John, and hopefully all the costs be listed there.
all right. Dan, you know how to do it. You're the man. You're the superintendent of the monies. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Tom?
Okay, Mr. Carrier,
Aye.
Mr. Cusick,
Aye.
Mr. Shaughnessy.
Good night, folks.
Bobby, you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Oh.
All right. Okay. All right, folks, we're gonna meet on the
I'm
6th.
all set. Okay, thank you.
We'll meet on the 16th. Everybody have a good night. Stay safe. Bye, Tom, Rod, Dave. Dave, you want me to try?